Hi loves, welcome back to another video. I am going to be talking about my experience with therapy, which was a few months ago now. I have been wanting to do this video for a while. I have just been, settling into the new place and, just been really busy. And I really wish I had recorded this video like fresh out of therapy, but, it's been a couple months and, processing everything, it's been a lot, but I'm glad that I can finally sit down and get this video out for you guys, because I know a lot of you DM'd me when I was going through therapy to like share my experience with it. So, okay, what's my hair doing over here? So that's exactly what this video is going to be. You guys know I struggled a lot with anxiety for the past like few years, and I really haven't experienced much of it in the past 3 months. So I'm going to share a few tips that my therapist gave me in order to like, I don't want to say overcome it, but learn how to like deal with it and not let it control me. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so I started going to therapy earlier this year. The reason I started going wasn't even like my choice. Well, it was my choice, but the manager from my old gym that I used to go to just noticed that something was going on with me, and he gave me the idea of therapy. And I was like, I don't think I need that. Like, I would never want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, if I call, will you go? Will you like, look into it? And I'm like, sure. So he called, and the therapist called me, and I just said, what's the worst that can happen? So I went. Luckily I had a good experience with like, from the get-go. I was just scared that I was gonna get a therapist that I didn't vibe with, whatever it is. But luckily she was a sweet girl. Like, she was young too, so she was just super cool. And I don't know, we were just able to like talk right away and just get right into all my problems and what was going on. And within the first session, like, a lot of things became clear, and a lot of the reasons, where my anxiety was coming from were clear all of a sudden. And that's when I had to make a lot of like tough decisions in my life of letting certain people go, and it was hard to do those things. But with therapy, like, it was, I want to say, easier to do it because I had that support system there, and I had someone who didn't know me, didn't know the people in my life, just like knew what was causing this anxiety. I feel like there's just zero judgment when it comes to therapy. Like I said, they don't know you, they don't know the people you're talking about. They're just giving you the facts of like how you're feeling, and how you're like, what you're telling them is, it's like a mirror, and you're finally going to hear the things that you've been so scared to like admit. So that's how the first session went, and then I did go back for a few more, and each time we just started talking about updates in my life and like how I was handling all the things that we had talked about. I'm really trying to like not give as much details of like my relationship or my past relationship. I just don't want to put too much of our business out there, and I'm trying to keep it generalized as possible, but still give you guys like my experience with it. The second session, we started talking about like the root of anxiety and like why I would like, when it started. A lot of like anxiety comes from obviously the way you're thinking, overthinking, and jumping to conclusions and stuff like that, and thinking of things that haven't even happened yet, like that makes you anxious. And so we went through like some exercises where, well, like for example, she's like, you walk into a room and everyone's laughing. Like, what do you think? What's the first thought that comes to your head? And I was like, I don't know, like, maybe they're laughing at me or something. And she was like, okay, see, that someone with like social anxiety would say is they're laughing at you. Where I asked my mom this question. I was like, Mom, like, you walk into a room and everyone's laughing, what do you do? She was like, I laugh and just ask what they're all laughing about, like, tell me the joke. And I'm like, okay. So I had social anxiety like really bad. That just kind of changed my way of thinking with the way I was reacting to things. That was like my perspective when it came to social events or whatever it is. It was my perspective on it. And once you change that little trigger, it removes so much anxiety from your life. Also, there's like emotional reasoning where you just kind of assume that because we're feeling a certain way that we must think it's true. So let's say you feel stupid because something happened, and then you're just like, okay, so I feel stupid, so I must be stupid. You know, like, that's not a good way to think. Like, you can't just make yourself think that way. Like, that's just so negative, and it just isn't gonna help you. Also, like, labeling yourself certain things, like if you label yourself like, oh, I'm fat, oh, or I'm a loser, like, you start to believe these things. Like, the mind is so powerful that you do start to believe these things, and you can't be like talking to yourself in a negative way. Just the way you talk to your friends, like, you wouldn't call them stupid, you wouldn't call them fat. Like, you talk to your friends like you love them, and why can't you talk to yourself like that? Why can't you love yourself and, you know, talk in a positive way to yourself? So that's another thing that, like, you really need to change, and it's kind of just a flip of a switch too. Also, like, blowing things out of proportion. This happens a lot when you suffer from anxiety. Like, the smallest thing can be on your mind for days and weeks and maybe even months, and you just start to like overthink, and it's kind of like a snowball effect where like one thought keeps going into the next, and like it just grows into this whole like unrealistic thing that's not even happening, and you just get anxious out of it. And then for what? Like I learned how to like step back and not be so quick to like blame myself for something that I didn't do, or start overthinking over something that isn't even a big deal. Like that social anxiety stuff, I've been going to a lot more social events and putting myself out there. It's been good change. I'm happy that I did go. I really didn't think I would want to go to therapy. Like I said, I didn't even sign up for therapy. A loved one really took the initiative to sign me up, and I did take the action to actually go and drive and continue going until my therapist said like we really didn't have to do it anymore. We got into a lot more things too, rather than just anxiety. Like, we got into my past and like family stuff, and just like a lot of things that I didn't really think of even bringing up in therapy, but they kind of just do. Like, as she starts asking you questions, you just start bringing things up, and like things that were so like pushed in the back of your brain just pop up, and you're like, oh shit, like I forgot I was even dealing with that. And yeah, it's just good to have someone to vent to, and I don't know, I really feel like it helps. Being Mexican, I feel like you're not really, like, we don't talk about therapy. We don't talk about going to therapy. Like, my mom is a very loving woman, and when I'm sad or whatever, she's always there for me, always comforting. So I don't even want to say this about like my mom, but like, I know being raised in a Mexican family, like therapy isn't really talked about, and it's not something that we really do. It's more like, you feel sad, okay, like go clean, go do something else, like get over it basically. But I wish it was talked about more, because it does help, and I feel like a lot of people can benefit from it. We all have our shit, we do, and if you're just suppressing all of that stuff, like, it's gonna affect you in a negative way, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your kids. Like, it's gonna affect you some way or another. And the sooner you can go and vent to someone, go and get advice, go and, you know, figure out these mechanisms to get past what you're going through, is gonna be so helpful, and it's gonna be so amazing in the long run that, you know, you're gonna wish you had done it sooner. For a couple months with my therapist, and by our last session, like, I had told her, you know, I had made the changes that I knew that had to be done, and I was feeling happier. There's a lot of like personal stuff that obviously I don't want to say, so I feel like my experience with therapy little video is going to be very generalized, but obviously I don't want to say the like personal stuff that I talked about. So every time that I feel like I'm about to have anxiety or something's about to trigger it, you have to think about like the activating event that is happening. And once you think of that, you try to think of like what your thinking trap is. So this is the way she broke it down for me. You find the activating event, the thought of the thinking trap, and then the feeling you have, and then the behavior choice you make. So let's say you're about to get anxiety, or you feel it coming, or it's happening. Let's say you're about to go meet up with some friends and there's new people there that you don't know. So that's the activating event. And then your thinking trap is like, oh my god, like they're not gonna like me, like they're gonna hate me, they're gonna make fun of me, blah blah blah. So you start feeling like sad, you start feeling anxious, you start feeling like you don't even want to go to this place anymore. And then the behavior choice might be that you end up bailing and you're like, no, you know, I'm not gonna go. But you need to flip that switch and you need to change that thinking trap before you even get to that, so you can avoid that feeling, you could avoid bailing on these people, and you actually have a good time. That's probably the biggest thing I took away from going to therapy. Well, actually, obviously, there was bigger things, but that was one of the biggest things for the anxiety that I took away. Obviously, it was removing negative people out of my life and people that just weren't making me feel good anymore, and avoiding those trigger stages with anxiety. So I think I've had one anxiety attack in the past 3 months, so it hasn't been like an everyday thing anymore. So I'm so thankful for that, because I used to just wake up and have anxiety and leave the gym because I have anxiety and not go to the gym because I have anxiety. It just affected my life so much that I just wanted to like be home. I wanted to be in my bed. Like it was terrible. So yeah, I've only had like one panic attack, and I was driving and I was just started shaking, like my hands were shaking. Something did trigger it, a fight with a friend, and I just felt like I was overthinking so much. And I was driving on the way to my eyelash appointment, and I just started like freaking out, and my hands were shaking, like I couldn't really see anymore. I was like, I couldn't breathe. My heart was just like, it was just a lot, like even thinking about it just And I called one of my friends and just try to like talk and calm myself down, you know. And yeah, even when I got to my eyelash appointment, I told my girl, I was like, I just had an anxiety attack, like my eyes are probably gonna be like shaking, so just bear with me. But yeah, that's all that's happened in the past like 3 months. It's been wild. I feel like this video was just very chatty and random, and I'm sorry if you didn't even get any benefit out of this video. It's just like, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of my experience with therapy, and I know I can't go too much into detail of like what we talked about, but I just want to tell you, like, it's not a scary thing to do. You may think it's scary like leading up to it, but once you're there and you open up, you should feel like you're in a comfortable environment. And if you don't, find another therapist, and hopefully you feel comfortable in that one. But luckily I was blessed to be in a very comfortable one from the get-go, because I don't know if I would have been able to go through with it if I hadn't. So I'm really thankful for Steven, who made me go to therapy. And it's so funny because when I went up to him at the gym, he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think I'm depressed. And I just like blurted that out. And that's when he was like, okay girl, like let me Google something real quick. And I was like, okay. So that's when it all happened. But yeah, listen to your loved ones. If your loved ones are trying to help you, listen. Like, they obviously see more than you're seeing, and they can help you. That's basically it for this video. I know it was so short and so random, but I just wanted to get it out there for you guys, and I hope it helps. I hope you can use a little bit of those anxiety tips that I used and apply them to your life and see if they help you. And please let me know if you have any questions, and if you need someone to talk to, please don't ever hesitate to DM me. I know sometimes it can take a minute for me to reply if like it's in my request, because I take a while to go through those, but just put like important on the first word and I'll open it and reply. But yeah, if you need someone to talk to and you don't have anyone to talk to, please reach out to me. I'm here. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, and these crew necks, These are from Paragon. This is the white one. They're so soft. Oh my god. Anyways, you can use my code Diane to save money on them. And okay, I'm done rambling. I will see you guys in the next video.